Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today is a sad day for parliamentary democracy. Since its resumption on 6th October 2014, after more than 7.5 years of military rule. It may well be a catastrophic day and a premonition of what our people perceive to be the new legal order as far as the rule of law is concerned. For the 56-year-old National Federation Party and I, who have survived and emerged unscratched in terms of maintaining our principles, our ethics, without for once shaking our fight for equality, dignity and justice for all our ordinary citizens. Friday, 6 September 2019 is really a day of shame, Mr. Speaker, for the highest court of the land. And that for a very long time, it will not become a thing of the past. Mr. Speaker, this is due to this motion asking us to give a seal of approval or otherwise to untruth over truth, injustice over justice, and to tear to shreds the virtue of righteousness, the most important cornerstone of any democracy. We on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, are naturally asking, how did we end up here and being asked to debate a report which in our view should not have been here at all? And the answer to that, Mr. Speaker, lies in retracing our steps back to that dark day in our democracy on Friday, 9th August 2019, and perhaps the decisions of those in authority. That dark day witnessed a first in our history, if I may say so. Something that should have never happened, let alone dreamt by anyone. Assault of another member of parliament by the Prime Minister of a country, surrounded, Mr. Speaker, surrounded by armed bodyguards as well as backup security, and watched by police officers on duty in Parliament as well as others, including 2 members of Parliament and 2 youth staff members of a political party. Mr. Speaker, the perpetrator carrying out the act described as a crime was the Honourable Prime Minister. The victim was NFP President and MP Honourable P.O. Tikoduadua. The witnesses included my colleague Honourable Ratu Suliano Matani Tambua and NFP youth members, Dylan Kawa and Apnisa, Watunibu Ibuke. This happened, Mr. Speaker, this happened in day, broad light, just before midday within Parliament business, in full view of the Parliament CCTV cameras, and was also captured through the lens of another person, because that went viral in the social media 2 weeks ago. Not the CCTV footage, but of high quality, We saw what happened. We saw what happened, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure members of this Parliament, and especially members on the other side of the House, have watched it. But we know that they will deny it like dodging a bullet. But Mr. Speaker, what did the Privilege Committee think of it? From its line of questioning, and I appeared before the committee myself, I could clearly see how desperate the government members on the committee were to exonerate their boss, the Honourable Prime Minister, of wrongdoing. So much so, Mr. Speaker, I got a sense that the government members of the committee who have signed this report, and it is clearly not bipartisan, as the committee of the chair and deputy speaker told the media last night, because the 2 opposition members really have not signed the report. Tried to drive home the theory that was That was all a concoction.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, the truth has been out for 2 weeks. Hundreds and thousands of people in Fiji and abroad have seen it. International news media, particularly in Australia and New Zealand, have carried major news stories on it. All of them have done the analysis and concluded assault, except for 4 members of the Fiji First Party, Mr. Speaker, who believe the contrary. It's there, Honourable Speaker. But it is obvious. It is obvious.
Order.
It is obvious, Mr. Speaker, that this report is a hogwash. It's a hogwash. Designed to put an end to police investigations into the assault, contrary to what you have stated in your reply to our concerns, Mr. Speaker. For that, what is this report's finding is designed to get police off the case. While you, Mr. Speaker, think otherwise, that no member of Parliament is above the law and that this Parliament will not arrogate any special treatment or exemption of MPs from law, the reality, in our view, is otherwise. On the other side of the coin, Parliament has made Honourable Tikoduadua, or is proposing to make Honourable Tikoduadua the sacrificial lamb, with the Privileges Committee requiring him to apologize to the Honourable Prime Minister or face 6 months suspension from the Parliament. This is for something that he never said. Never said, Mr. Speaker, never alluded to and never meant during his intervention in his right of reply to the motion on 9th August, calling for a special parliamentary committee into looking into the drug problem and other aspects. He is being treated, Mr. Speaker, like the instigator of the assault by the Honourable Prime Minister. You know, Mr. Speaker, when you look at cases of domestic violence, it's always the victim. It's like a schoolyard bully defending the bullying because he says, oh, he provoked me. This is the kind of view, Honourable Speaker, that some of the Fiji First Committee members were trying to make in the committee. Yeah. One wonders, why was Honourable Tikoduadua referred to the Privileges Committee in the first place? Was it to balance the scales for the PM's assault? Mr. Speaker, when you have a reaction, you have an action. This is all designed to cancel each other. Now he is asked to apologize. Now he is asked to apologize, Mr. Speaker, for saying own house, in reference to accusation held from government on this side of the house, or the opposition responsible for many things. We are sure Honourable Tikoduadua explained this to the committee, but we perfectly understand the committee's modus operandi. In fact, Mr. Speaker, they have capitulated along party lines in preparing this report. But Mr. Speaker, why was the matter referred to the Privileges Committee when right at the outset on 9th August you had made it abundantly clear in your ruling, and Honourable Leader of the Opposition alluded to that since you didn't see the assault on Honourable Tikoduadua, you had to report it, and he had to report it to the relevant authorities. And if I can just quote your ruling, Honourable Speaker, you said you would have noticed that when the debate is going on, I'm leaning forward trying to hear what you are saying. I cannot make a ruling if I have not witnessed anything. That is why the normal procedure should happen, that the Honourable Tikoduadua puts it in a report to whatever authorities he thinks the report should go to. That is the normal procedure. So, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is, if that was not the ruling of your ruling, Honourable P.O. Tikoduadua probably would have never gone to the police. That matter would have been dealt with within the Parliament. And you, Mr. Speaker, reiterated this in public statements that came to the media through the Parliament Secretariat, then that since the matter is being referred or investigated, Parliament will not comment or interfere in the process. We can vividly recall one such statement on 17th August. This is despite how Honourable Tikoduadua and I, raising the matter in Parliament on 9th August by way of letters to your office that same evening, requesting you to skewer CCTV footage to ensure who is telling the truth, since the Honourable PM through social media claimed that Honourable Tikoduadua was sternly talked at by him and that he broke his own glasses by squeezing it. But on Monday, 2nd September, you ruled that there was also prima facie evidence against my colleague on 9th August. You allowed him to continue, and rightly so, despite a point of order that was raised by the Honourable Prime Minister, because he had not even remotely said anything to what was being claimed then by the PM and the Attorney General and the Privileges Committee in this report. That is why, Mr. Speaker, with all due respect to you, the referral of this matter to the committee, in our view, was wrong, based on your earlier rulings as well as your statements in the media. And by that I mean referral under Standing Order 1342 that was not addressed by your reply on 3rd September to our letter dated 2nd September. When you on 9th August ruled Honourable Tikoduadua should report the matter to relevant authorities, he then, Mr. Speaker, Delhi went to the Tongo police station after his press conference, where he announced that he was going to file a report regarding the assault. And in fact, let me say that again, had it not been your rulings, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Tikoduadua probably would have never gone to the police to file a complaint against because the matter would have been dealt by Parliament. So Mr. Speaker, what changed from 9th August and your continuously consistent position of Parliament not interfering with the police process until days ago? Why were the interventions of 9th August as well as our letter dated that evening construed as formal complaints when it never was? So, Mr. Speaker, the opposite happened, and now Honourable Tikoduadua is asked to apologize for something he never said or meant, and Honourable PM to apologize for a criminal offence under the Crimes Act that was a decree promulgated by the military regime headed by the PM himself, as the then military commander himself, as well as reconciliation under the Criminal Procedure Act, a decree that was also promulgated, and act now unilaterally to use the platform of Parliament to exonerate himself. Mr. Speaker, let's look at this rationally. Here is a person being asked to apologize for something he did not say, nor mean, nor think, except one or two MPs on government benches asking the PM to look at his own house.
Order.
Also with a capital H, it's recorded in the Hansard. And correlated with video footage, and I hope the committee looked at, because he gestured. In fact, I was here, Mr. Speaker, that day. When he was responding, he gestured to the other side. Your house, he is the leader of the party on his house, on his side of the house. That's what he meant.
Order.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Order.
It couldn't have been clearer than this, Honourable Speaker. Much, much more clearer than the Honourable Attorney General making the monkey-like gestures in 2015 to Honourable Ratu Tikoduadua, and saying he was impersonating.
There's a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honourable Attorney General, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Prasad is misleading Parliament. This matter was clarified on a number of occasions. I said that was my impression of Darth Vader. Is on record. Check the Hansard on a number of occasions.
That's what
you
I was
know
going
that.
to say. That's what I was going to say.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I did clarify that. For him to now misrepresent that is actually misleading Parliament.
Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Attorney General, the Honourable Attorney General jumped too quickly. I was actually going to say that it was like impersonating Darth Vader. So, I was going to say that it was clarified. That's the point I was trying to make. Accepted And now, late Speaker, the Honourable Government Whip during the budget debate, he made references to putting janola on people's head. I mean, these were sensitive issues that were raised. But still, the interpretation of those issues were different, Honourable Speaker. But still, Honourable Tikoduadua has been found to have meant something he never said, contrary to all definitions in the English language, and that is the official language of Parliament. To me, Mr. Speaker, this is fictional justice, only found in movies probably. The best remedy for justice to prevail, or even being seen to prevail in the interest of democracy and permanent viability of our law and order, is for the government side, is for the committee to withdraw this report and let the rule of law take its course. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, those supporting this report stand guilty of endorsing violence contrary to their utterances and shedding of tears in the event this report gets withdrawn will forever be remembered as crocodile tears and a resolution to entrench lawlessness, thuggery, and assault on democracy. Mr. Speaker, as they say, the standard you fail to meet is your new floor. The standard that you fail to meet is your new floor. If we don't, it's not about what happened between Honorable P.O. Tikoduadua and the Prime Minister. It's about standards. It's about standards. It's about the signal that we send from this House to the people of this country. It's about standards. And today, if we accept this report, we are creating a new flaw in this country, new definition of rule of law. And let me, before I conclude, Mr. Speaker, let me say this, that the majority of the members in the committee are from the ruling party. They saved their own course. And may I extend that, Honourable Speaker, may I extend that to this Parliament, where they have the majority. And again, by supporting this report and by forcing Honourable P.O. Tikoduadua to apologize for something which he never said or meant, is again capitulating, to blackmail. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat this. The majority of the members in the committee have feathered their own course. And by extension, the majority of the members in the Fiji Fest today who will vote for this motion will feather their own course, not the course of standard, transparency, accountability, rule of law.
Order.
May I also say, Mr. Speaker, may I also say this. I've seen this over the last 5 years. Mr. Speaker, we have no confidence in the independence, in the transparency, in the accountability of independent institutions in this country anymore, Mr. Speaker. And as I said, we do not have confidence in those institutions, and if we are sending a signal today, if we accept this report, if we pass that report and accept that motion from the government side, we are setting a new standard. We are creating a new floor as far as rule of law, transparency and accountability is concerned. Mr. Speaker, as I said, this report should never have been here. It's not a process that we should condone, and we should leave it to the independent arm of the police force to investigate the matter now that the matter has been reported to the police as a result of the ruling that you made, Honourable Speaker, on that day when both of us came into Parliament and raised this matter with you. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.